Is it profitable to buy a property on a big block of land, subdivide it, and then build something in the back? Well, in today's video, we are going to talk about exactly that. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For those that are new here, my name is Zeng and I'm a self-made millionaire and a real estate investor. I make weekly videos on the topics of personal finance, real estate, and investing. If this is something you're interested in, subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, and follow me on my Instagram where I post daily. I will be breaking this video down into a few different parts. The first part will go over the reasoning behind my decision to make a purchase and do a development here in Melbourne. The second part will go over this project in a bit more detail, some details about the property I purchased, the costs, as well as what my plans are with this property. And the final part will go over the numbers behind this purchase, the construction cost, the purchase cost, as well as the profitability of this entire project. Hopefully this can provide some useful information for those who are looking to take on a similar project. As always, this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. I'm simply sharing with you my personal opinions and strategies. I will always encourage you to do your own research and due diligence and seek the help of real financial experts before jumping into any big financial or investment decisions. Let's jump straight into it and talk about this purchase. This property was purchased in an area called Maidstone, which is about 10 kilometers away from the Melbourne CBD. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why am I purchasing a property here in Melbourne after talking so much crap about the Melbourne property market? If you have been watching my previous videos, then you will know that I am not a big fan of the Melbourne property market because of the high prices, the unaffordability, the high vacancy rates and the low rental returns. And at the start of the next financial year, the higher land taxes, the higher stamp duty, as well as the increased cost of owning a property here in Melbourne. To be completely honest, it's not that I don't like the Melbourne property market. I do. It's a great city to live in. But I just think there are many better options out there where numbers make more sense. However, Melbourne is my hometown. And because of the more expensive nature of the property market here in Melbourne, there are better margins and better profits to be made when it comes to flipping or renovating or developing property here. For example, if you were to build a brand new house in Tasmania, it will cost a similar amount of money as if you were to build something here. So it will make sense for us to build a house in Melbourne instead because of the higher margins and the higher prices that we can get here. And I think developing is something that is very hands-on, and I need to be able to talk to and negotiate with builders, architects, real estate agents to get everything done the way I want it to be done. So naturally, I decided to buy a property in a growing pocket that's only 10 minutes away from where I live, so I can keep an eye on it on the way to the gym every day, and go on site and meet up with any tradies about any issues that might arise. This is simply something that would be too hard to do if the property wasn't in Melbourne. Now let's talk a bit more about this property. For the project to be a successful one, there were a few factors that I had to consider. The first and most important one is that I had to purchase the property for a good price, or in other words, below market, so that I can maximize my profit. I purchased this property back in 2019, after APRA stepped in to cool the housing market. As most of you guys already know, back in 2017, APRA stepped in to cool the housing market by introducing new, tougher lending criteria for the banks, which led to a very significant correction of almost 20% in our biggest markets, Melbourne and Sydney. So after seeing the significant correction in Melbourne and Sydney, I decided 2019 would be a good time to buy because of the reduced level of competition and the low confidence in the market. One of the hardest hit by the restrictions imposed by APRA were investors and developers, which meant large development blocks that were selling for more than $1 million back in 2017 have now gone down to the 700 or 800k range. And that's encouraged me to do a renovation plus subdivision instead of a renovation and flip that I would normally do. After quite a bit of research, I identified Maidstone and the western suburbs as a potential growth hub for the coming years. Because if I went 10 kilometers in any other direction, I'll be paying at least $1 million, if not millions, for a development block. For those who don't know what a development block is, it is simply a house that is sitting on a substantial piece of land, usually 600 square meters or more, which will allow you to knock down and build multiple townhouses, subject to council approval of course. The property I purchased had a land size of just under 700 square meters and a very wide driveway, which meant I could easily build something in the backyard without having to demolish the existing property. And I believe it is always better to renovate instead of build, because building takes a lot of time and it requires a lot of permits and a lot of approvals from the council. Not to mention, renovating an existing house is usually much cheaper than building a new one. After some back and forth negotiations, I was able to purchase the property for $750,000, which I thought was a great deal because other properties that were on smaller blocks were selling for just as much. This property is a very old 3-bedroom house and it needed a ton of work. And as you can see in this video, we had to pretty much strip everything down and replace it with new material. To make this property attractive to our target market, which is the first home buyers, we had to not only make the property look good, but practical. So we added a new kitchen, a new bathroom, a new ensuite, and we took down a lot of walls in the living room to make the whole living space seem more open, as well as a million other things. However, I think all of this hard work that we put into this property will be worth it, and this will be a very profitable flip for me thanks to our property boom. And when our borders open up in 2022 and when migration returns, I think this property is going to do extremely well. And as for the new build at the back, it will be a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double-story house with a double garage, which is going to target the first home buyer market pretty damn well. Even with the cost of building materials and labor going through the roof, I was very lucky to have found a very good builder and sign a contract before all the prices start going up. Now, based on everything that I have told you so far and everything I'm about to share with you in the final section of this video, when we go over the numbers and profitability, you're going to think this whole developing and flipping houses thing is extremely easy. Let me tell you right now, this whole project was probably one of the most stressful things I have ever taken on in my entire life. And if you guys know me well, you will know that I started and failed multiple businesses when I was younger. So you will know that my tolerance for stress is extremely high. So let me tell you right now why this whole project was so damn stressful. Outside of dealing with the council and jumping through a million hoops to get everything done and all the approvals ticked off, there were 2 major factors that made this whole project extra stressful. The first one was my architect, who decided to completely disappear after 3 months, and he didn't reply to any of my calls, messages or emails. So after failing to get in touch with him, I had to eventually get someone else to finish the job. So the lesson learned here is to find an architect that is reputable and has really good reviews. Now, this next part is something straight out of a current affair. While I was getting the necessary paperwork to get everything started, I left the property vacant for almost a year because I grossly underestimated how much work and how much time I needed before I can start building. So one day I was just chilling at home and I get a call from the council. And the council had told me that someone had reported squatters living in my property. Obviously, I was shocked. So I went to the property straight away to confront them. And I called the police to help me get rid of them. But in the end, they left without a fight, which was a blessing. But they did also leave a massive mess for me to clean up. This is honestly something I never thought I would have to deal with. But now that I have experienced it, I now know how to avoid it in the future. And that is to put a tenant into the property as soon as possible. So you have someone looking after the property on your behalf. Even if the rental income is not extremely high, at least I have someone there to look after the property. And after I finished cleaning up the mess left by the squatters, I thought my troubles were over. And I couldn't have been more wrong, because a few weeks later, when I went to check on the property again, there was someone else squatting in it. Someone had broken in again and started to live there. So I had to call the police once again to get them evicted and move all of their stuff out and go through the whole process of cleaning up after them again. Look, encountering something like this is probably extremely unlikely, but it goes to show just how stressful this whole process can be, and that it is not all smooth sailing and easy money. Even though it was a very bad experience, I'm very glad I now know how to handle it. Let me know in the comment sections below, have you had any bad experiences like this before? Now let's move on and talk about what you have all been waiting for, the numbers and the profitability of this whole project. The property was purchased for $750,000. The stamp duty on it was $40,000. The conveyancing fees, the land taxes over the last few years, the water rates, the council rates, general maintenance, holding costs, and interest payments set me back around $45,000. I have spent around $50,000 on plans, permits, surveying, subdivision, and other necessary expenses to get the properties ready for sale. The renovation cost for the front property will be around $170,000, and the cost of building a new 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom townhouse in the back will be around $380,000. Adding all these numbers together, the total cost of the project will be around $1.44 million. I borrowed 80% of the purchase price and will borrow 80% of the building cost, so in total I will be contributing around $423,000 of my own capital into this project. I'm currently still deciding if I want to sell these properties upon completion. If I do decide to sell these properties, I will hold on to them for at least 12 months so that I can get the 50% capital gains tax discount. Based on my conversation with local real estate agents and my extensive research, I believe the renovated property will be worth around $780,000 to $830,000 upon completion, and the brand new townhouse in the back will be worth around $850,000 to $920,000. This will give me a grand total of between $1.63 million to $1.75 million. This is also, in my personal opinion, quite a conservative estimate based on current market conditions and how I expect the market to be from now until I complete the project. This conservative estimate will give me a profit of around $190,000 to $310,000, which is not a number that's going to blow minds, but I'm quite happy with this profit because my initial investment was only $423,000. And if I was to hit the top range of my profit estimate of $310,000, it would mean a return on investment of 73% over 3 years, which is not amazing, but pretty damn good for my first development. I could have definitely financed more of the cost, and that would give me a much higher return on investment. For example, if I had financed 80% of my total cost, that will give me a return on investment of 107%. In my next project, I will definitely take advantage of all the cheap debt that our banks are offering to maximize my profit margins. And I'm sure after learning so much on this project, I will become much more time and cost efficient on my next one. Guys, I just want to make it clear that I didn't make this video to brag or show off in any way. I simply made this to give you guys some information on this whole development industry, as well as some inspiration and ideas for you to start pursuing on your own. Anyway, let me know what you think about this project, or if you have any questions at all, please feel free to message me on my Instagram at InvestWithZeng. This brings us to the end of the video. If you got value from this video, please do me a huge favor by hitting that like button right there and subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. And I'll see all of you guys in the next video.